How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Pazza Podcast. I'm Travis. This is another episode of Calcio Unheralded Legends, our weekly dive into players that, in my opinion, impacted Serie A in the 2000s and 2010s. Maybe not on the level of superstars such as Fabrizio Miculi, Antonio Di Natale, and other cult legends. These are cult people, in my opinion, that maybe deserve a little more recognition and were very important figures in Serie A during this time, which really shaped my knowledge and love of Calcio into what it is today. Before we get started, guys, if you want a sticker, please hit me up. I got probably 10 or so left. We're running low on the stickers. I'll send you some stickers and probably re-up if we get more people that want one. And also, please like, subscribe, comment, share, anything you can do. Just interact. Let's interact. I like having a dialogue. That's kind of the reason I started this hobby of mine, as a way to interact and dialogue. Being from Southern United States, there is not many Italian Serie A fans or soccer fans in general. So I wanted to find an outlet to have a dialogue with people. So please interact. It would make me more than happy to interact with you guys and have some good conversations. Even if you disagree with anything I say, who cares? That's what it's here for. This week, we are going to be doing a deep dive into a French-born goalkeeper that spent the majority of his career in Serie A throughout the late 90s and 2000s by the name of Sebastien Frey. And that's why I have my French jersey. He made 2 appearances for the French national team during the era of this jersey. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a Frey. I've had this Johan Gorkov jersey. For any of you Milanista that might tune in, remember him. He was kind of considered the next big thing for Milan, although didn't make many appearances, if I remember correctly, for Milan. His promise came from his time at Bordeaux in the League One. This was a cool jersey I found again at the warehouse sale for Eurosport back in like '08 or '09, kind of whenever he was jumping off a little bit at Bordeaux, and thought, hey, might as well buy this. Who knows what it'll turn into in the future. Didn't really have the career we thought, but so be it. Figured I'd wear a Les Bleus jersey for Sebastien Frey. Sebastien Frey was born on the 18th of March, 1980, in a town called Thonon-les-Bains in France. This is a small town of about 36,000 people, situated on Lake Geneva, kind of in like the French Alps, I guess, if you will, area of France, not too far from Italy. He would begin his professional career at Cannes, or Canes, however you pronounce it. I think the French pronunciation is Caen, Cannes. He would start his first full season in top flight football would be there in the '97 season. And he would take over for goalkeeper Gregory Wimbies, which didn't really look it up, but somebody thought it was important enough in my research to mention that guy. So shout out to Gregory Wimby. 23 appearances his first season in senior top flight French football as an 18-year-old, and it attracted interest abroad, most notably between bitter rivals Juventus and Inter. Apparently, they were the two battling out for his signature. And on July 1st, 1998, Inter would win the race to sign Sebastien Frey, and they would pay him 14 million euros for a goalkeeper with only one season of top flight football, and that's French football, which at that time maybe it was rightfully so considered a farmers league. I wouldn't say maybe now, but huge investment by Inter at this point to try and find a replacement for Pagliuca, who was on his way out. He did have one season with Pagliuca in that first season, but he would only make 7 appearances. And Inter that next season, in the summer of 1999, would bring in Angelo Peruzzi from Juventus to be the starter. That would pretty much be a signal that Sebastien Frey, after one season only getting 7 appearances, needed to try and find regular football, and he would secure a loan deal to Verona that offseason in the summer of 1999. Frey would make 30 appearances that season for Verona. Guess I can cut that out. Um, They would make he would make 30 appearances for Verona, helping them avoid relegation. They would finish ninth place. He would only allow 45 goals in that season in his first season at Verona, and that would be the ninth best in the league. So ninth best goalkeeper, I guess you could say, in his first season at Verona, and helping them achieve top half of the table result that season. Um, that next season, Verona would only finish one place above relegation and then be relegated the following season. So the impact that Frey had for Verona, I guess you could see based off that, was pretty big for that season. This would lead to him being recalled back to Inter in the summer and give him the opportunity to be the starter that season in the 01-02 season. In the summer, sorry, 2000-2001 season. 20-year-old at the time, Sebastien Frey, he would be named the starter. I think the coach at the beginning of the season was Marcello Lippi, and after October, he left, and Tordelli came in, leading to a so-so season. Inter would finish fifth in the league. Frey would make 28 appearances. This was a time when Serie A was only an 18-team league, so 34 games total. He missed 6 games, I guess, that season. I guess in terms of what at the time president and we know as today Massimo Moratti considered this a failure of a season, finishing fifth place, losing the Supercoppa in the final quarterfinals of the Coppa Italia and only the round of 16 in the UEFA Cup was not good enough for Moratti. Sebastien Frey, that season, they let in 47 goals in the league, so 2 worse than his season before at Verona. And Moratti's, as we know from history, looking at it now, Moratti doesn't stand for subpar performances in his mind. This would lead to Massimo Moratti in the summer of 2001, bringing in Francesco Toro to be the starting goalkeeper from Fiorentina. That would pretty much be the end of the career at Inter for Sebastien Frey. He was a player that was known more for his hairstyle, I guess, during his time at Inter than his actual play, I guess. The blonde streaks in the hair. Was an interesting player with how he... We'll get on more of his style of play later. But yeah, more so known for the blonde hair during his time at Inter than he was actually his play. That same summer, it was, I guess, a huge move for goalkeepers in Serie A because Buffon would make his move from Parma to Juventus, and Parma needing a replacement would look to bring in Sebastien Frey as a starting goalkeeper. I found discrepancies on kind of the move and when it was and what kind of move it was. Transfermarkt says that originally it was a loan to Parma with an outright purchase of 21 million euros in the 03 season, which seemed a little odd. Couldn't really find any other sources that said that. Wikipedia said it was a transfer in 01. It was kind of an exchange with Parma for Sergio Conceição, moving to Inter at that point, and a total valuation of Frey being 40 billion lire, Italian lire. Couldn't find really like a transfer, like what that would be in euros or dollars kind of amount. So kind of up in the air of what that actual transfer cost and when it actually occurred. But he would stay at Parma for the next 4 seasons, helping the club win the Coppa Italia, a couple fifth place finishes in back-to-back seasons, and help them in their scrape to avoid relegation in the 04-05 season. If you listen to last week's detailing of Mark Bresciano, he was on the squad as well. And after those 2 seasons of doing well, this little era of Parma was marred kind of by financial difficulties and selling a lot of big name players week in and week out. So despite having heights of 2 fifth place finishes, this wasn't the Parma that we kind of knew in the late 90s, early 2000s. And the relegation battle would be more common after the last or next couple seasons at Parma in the mid 2000s, just due to having to sell players to make up for these financial difficulties. This teams, though, like I said, they had Bresciano, Cesare Bove was on this team, Daniele Bonera, who longtime Milan player after this, now the Milan Futura coach in their youth U23 setup that they have. Domenico Morfeo was on this team, Alberto Gilardino, Paolo Cannavaro, Fabio Simplicio was on this team. So a lot of decently big players were playing for Parma at this time. But like we had mentioned, they were going through financial problems, and that would also force them to have to sell Sebastien Frey in the summer of 2005. Initially, this was a loan deal to Fiorentina, and then in the summer of 2006, it would be made permanent for a 5.75 million euro transfer fee to Fiorentina. And this is kind of where I found Sebastien Frey. Uh, if you've listened to this before, pre World Cup 2006, there was hardly any Serie A showcasing. If anything, it'd be maybe one game in the Champions League if they were playing Real Madrid or Manchester United in America, specifically in the South, where I'm from. I grew up with Italian friends, the Di Puertos in North Carolina, who are Napolitana from Naples. They had Rye, so I did get to watch some Serie A action as a young kid, but it wasn't something at home I got to watch a lot of. So it wasn't much coverage up until post World Cup, and that's when Fox Soccer Channel kind of got a hold of the Serie A and was able to show like a couple games a week. And this was the time whenever Sebastien Frey moved to Fiorentina that I really kind of found Sebastien Frey and really shaped who I know him as a player. Very those black and yellow goalkeeping jerseys that he had with the slick back hair, the high. So I feel like he was one of the first goalkeepers I remember wearing like the socks with the baggy shorts that kind of overlapped. Definitely one of the first goalkeepers I remember being pretty comfortable with his feet. And this all happened during his tenure at Fiorentina, where it really became a big name player. Unfortunately, though, a lot of his tenure at Fiorentina was marred by knee injuries. He would start well, though, for Fiorentina, starting that first season. But after 6 months, January of 2006, he would collide in a Coppa Italia match against Juventus with Juventus player at the time, Marcelo Zalayeta, and it would lead to a pretty bad tibia injury and force him to miss the rest of that 2006-2007 season. And that wasn't the first knee injury problem that he would have. They would kind of, after this, kind of follow him throughout his career. December of 2007, he would have a meniscus injury, leading to him needing to have a surgery, which would force him out for a month. And then in 2010, he would tear his ACL and force him to miss the entire season at Fiorentina and effectively end his career with Fiorentina. His time with Fiorentina was pretty successful, though. He would make 175 appearances, conceding 177 goals. Total 572 saves, save percentage of about 76%, 76.4 to be exactly, and 57 clean sheets. Although these aren't mightily impressive numbers, if you look at the Fiorentina squad and just the level of Serie A at that time, um, the defense wasn't as great. It wasn't the Serie A that we know. Even today, I think the defending's better. It's still not, the Serie A pre-Calciopoli that, was pretty much known for defending and then having world-class number 10s, number 9s as well. This was a lower kind of Serie A really bad era for Italian league after Calciopoli. A lot of players left. Inter kind of dominated the first part of this kind of post-Calciopoli. Then it went to Juve after that with a Milan title sandwiched in between. But a lot of these teams just weren't up at the level of what we have today or even pre-Calciopoli. And so this is, I think, a pretty respectable stat line for a goalkeeper. Sebastien Frey was a really good goalkeeper, make no mistake about it. Very agile, very quick. 6'2", so not the biggest, most imposing figure, but still pretty effective, really good shot stopper, and just an overall good player. Like I said, remembered for his time at Inter with the crazy hairstyle. I believe he had frosted blonde tips during his time at Fiorentina too, slick back, long, shaggy. He was a very recognizable figure when you saw Fiorentina play. Um, but yeah, he would stay there for 4 seasons. His best season was the 06-07 season, which was his second season there. He would make 38 appearances after missing the second half of the 05-06 season with that knee injury. And he would only concede 31 goals. Fiorentina would sign Artur Boruc in the 2010 season, which is the last season that Sebastien Frey would stay at Fiorentina. And it kind of was, they're pretty much signaling like, hey, this is going to be your last season. Time for you to leave. We're looking for younger goalkeepers, younger alternatives. He would have that knee injury as well. And in the summer of 2011, he would make his move to Genoa. He would stay at Genoa for 2 seasons, make 74 appearances there. He conceded 118 goals, though, as Genoa finished back-to-back seasons, just barely scraping and avoiding relegation, both times finishing 17th place in the league. It's got to be tough for someone who had played for some decent Fiorentina sides, some decent Parma sides, Inter, and finishing their Italian top flight career at Genoa, a struggling Genoa squad. Um, but yeah, this would lead to his ending of his time in Italy at top flight Italian football. He would move to Turkish side Bursaspor in the summer of 2013 at the age of 33 for an undisclosed fee. He would make 27 appearances in that first year, although conceding 39 goals and just 7 clean sheets, and Bursaspor finished 8th place. He wouldn't make an appearance for Bursaspor the next year, leading to him calling quits to his professional playing career and retiring in the summer. Well, I guess technically he didn't retire until December of 2015, but he got out of his contract with Bursaspor, or his contract ended in the summer of 2015. His legacy, again, I think he was a better goalkeeper than maybe some of the statistics paint a picture of. He did only make 2 appearances for Les Bleus, which was after the 2006 World Cup. I think it was 2007, 2008. He would get 2 national team caps for France, which seems a little crazy for me considering how good Frey was. At that time, Fabien Barthez was probably the starting goalkeeper, but a little older. I think they had Steve Mandanda, I think was his name, the Marseille goalkeeper, but I don't really remember him being that great either. So it's interesting that Sebastien Frey only got 2 appearances with the French national team. I think he's more so known, though, for his time at Fiorentina and then his time at Parma before that. But he was a great goalkeeper, in my opinion. Like I said, really agile, really quick, shot stopper, decent with his feet, known for his hair, and just an all around great figure for Serie A. One thing I will say he is known for, and you see it a lot in Zlatan's highlights, Zlatan's free kick against Fiorentina had to have been, 30, 35 yards out on the 30, or on the left side of the field, the pitch. Zlatan is wearing the Milanese Centenario with the red cross in the middle, the Inter jersey, iconic. And it's a free kick that is very memorable as far as the pace and the power that Zlatan put on it, and the swerve. Unfortunately, Sebastien Frey had to be the player in net for that. I don't think any goalkeeper was saving the shot. Cannoned off the crossbar, just the speed, pace, power, venom, whatever you want to say that Zlatan put on it. It's a legendary goal, so you can look that one up and you'll see Sebastien Frey in net for that one. He was known though for being a good goalkeeper, his hairstyles, and being able to play with his feet. Kind of one of the first goalkeepers to kind of make that, I wouldn't say make that transition, but be available for his team with his feet. And this was due to the fact that before his 17th, before he actually really got big at Caen in French football, he was an outfield player his whole youth career. So pretty interesting stuff. Couple other things of note before we wrap this up. His father, André Frey, was a French footballer, made 6 appearances for the national team Les Bleus from 1944 to 1950. Bounced back and forth a couple of times from Toulouse and Metz. Those were the 2 French league sides that he played for. He also had a brother, Nicolas Frey, which I've mentioned before on these Calcio Unheralded Legends, teammate of Luciano or Heriberto, however you remember him. He's another player we have an episode on if you want to give that a listen to at Chievo Verona. But he was known for being an outside back at Chievo. Very pesky player, had the ponytail. Remember him just always being a pain in the ass whenever Inter visited Chievo. But yeah, came from a family of footballers, the Freys. And one last thing that's kind of interesting about Sebastien, during these knee injury troubles that he had at Fiorentina, he sought advice from former Inter teammate that he had during his spell at Inter. Italy legend. They call him the Divine Ponytail. Everyone knows him. Roberto Baggio. Sought advice on, how to continue his playing career mentally, what he should do, blah, blah, blah. And anybody who knows Roberto Baggio, he is a Buddhist. And this led to Sebastien Frey becoming a Buddhist as well. So he has been a Buddhist since those knee period times when he sought out advice from Roberto Baggio, and he credits it to regaining mental strength, his mental balance, and just being able to finish out his career as a top flight Italian footballer. So shout outs to Baggio for helping out Sebastien Frey and leading him to the um, light of Buddhism, I guess, that he has been on ever since. So that's going to do it for this detailing of Sebastien Frey. Appreciate all the support, guys. Hope you guys like the jersey and the episode. Please comment, like, subscribe, and as always, Forza Inter.